I mean, I don't want to get too dirty, but if I was a nun, many itches would have got scratched.
Oh,
I don't think I would have lasted.
Hi and welcome to McLaren Versus. My name is Spencer McLaren and I've been a performer my entire life, working in film and television and theatre all around the world. It's been a deeply rewarding ride, but also a very challenging one, having to deal with periods of unemployment, rejection and self-doubt. The one constant, though, has been the people. Always unique, humble, and often just a little bit crazy. I'm lucky enough now to call some of them my friends. So I've started this podcast to shine a light on sides of them you may not get to see on screen, the real people behind their profiles. So join me as we talk to some truly amazing individuals about a life well lived and what lessons they have learned along the way in McLaren Versus. Today I'm sitting down with the Queen of Aussie Charm and one of our nation's favourite faces. Yes, Pia Miranda. Now, whether she's winning our hearts as the ultimate underdog, as Josie in Looking for Alibrandi, or outwitting opponents to snatch the title of sole survivor, she's proven that she can do it all. She is an actor, an author, an activist, an ambassador, and of course a rock star mum. So buckle up, because this conversation is going to be just as delightful and unpredictable as Pia herself. Pia, welcome to McLaren Versus Miranda.
I'm glad I came now after hearing that. Thank you.
Oh, what a lovely little start.
What a nice little way to end my day.
Look, it's not ending, it's only like 2 o'clock, so
yeah,
you're fine,
afternoon.
fine. So I was trying to think back to when we actually first met, and I know we were both on a bit of Secret Life, but I think you were after me, and I don't know if it was just, through that sort of world of film and television, but obviously... Do you remember?
Were you on season 2?
I was on 1, 2, 3, and
No, we were in. I remember is one scene in a nightclub, or was there a bar in the show?
Yeah. The Foo Bar.
I think there was lots. It was probably quite early. You know, when you're a guest and you're a bit nervous, so you want to say hi to everyone. I feel like you were in that scene.
Okay, so we must have really,
but I don't know,
bonded.
Yeah, I just no, I pretty much just did most of my scenes with Michael, and then not really anyone else.
That's right. Yeah. So we were there, and then. You were very kind to come on board my first feature that I did, Surviving Georgia, which is when we really got to kind of know each other.
I was pregnant.
Yes, I remember that. That was with James, wasn't it? Or was it Lily? No, Lily.
It was with Lily. So Lily, I was pregnant, and Shane's partner Felicity was pregnant at the same time.
Yes, that's right.
Remember, we just had lots of handbags,
lots of bags
and
in
stuff
front.
of me, fish and chips and stuff.
Yeah, because you and I are playing lovers, of course.
We were.
Yes, saucy. There you go. But yeah, I do remember that.
Is that the first time you've made out with a pregnant woman?
And last. Absolutely.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, please do. There's so much I want to talk to you about. Seminal Aussie film, Looking for Alibrandi. I'm sure, that is just part of you now.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. Survivor. So many questions. And I do want to touch on, away from all of that, your beautiful, amusing, they're also amazing and amusing family with Luke and the 2 kids.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on all of that. But you have been a part of our cultural landscape for 30 years now.
So depressing.
No,
thank you.
Thank you.
Depressing.
That kind of longevity takes, work and tenacity. It doesn't happen by accident. So if I can kick us off with a little quote from our good friend Josie, Alibrandi.
Yes. Alibrandi, actually.
Sorry, Alibrandi.
I know, you're not the
Alibrandi.
only one. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. No, it's good. Get it right. We'll edit that out. It's fine. No worries. So she says towards the end of the film, I always dreamt of being someone really impressive and famous.
Yes.
And I wondered, did you ever feel like that as a kid? Did you have these youthful aspirations and dreams of wanting to be that person?
In some way. I mean, I wanted to be a nun,
yes.
But I trained my whole childhood. I was really focused and very driven to be a ballerina, which I really wanted that because I loved it. And the thing I love about dance is it takes so much hard work for so little reward, and there's no guarantees at the end. But I think at some point I could feel that might not be my path. And my other great love was books and old movies. So Judy Garland, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, all of that old Hollywood thing really called me in a huge way. And so I think the natural progression of being a performer wanting to be a storyteller and having a love for movies, I think just led me in that direction.
Yeah.
But I never really was convinced it was going to happen for me.
Yeah, okay. And your sister, if I'm right, got in a movie first.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And where were you at on your journey to I guess understanding you wouldn't want to act, or you're still at ballet school at then, or how was that?
I was still always really interested in acting. So I was, at the time she was doing the movie, I was performing in operas with the Canberra Opera and things like that. So her getting the movie was really inspiring to me, because I thought, oh, if it can happen for her, it might be able to happen for me. And that movie ended up being, it is such a good movie, Moving Out, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, Vince Colosimo and my sister. It is such a great movie about migrant culture in the 80s, which is so weird that I was in a similar kind of movie, a couple of decades later.
Yeah. And I guess you're touching on that migrant experience, right? Growing up, obviously, I've read a bunch of stuff that you've said publicly and those kind of things. Growing up, Italian, Irish, Australian. How do you, especially in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s, how do you reconcile all that?
Yeah, it's more unusual for me now, I think, because Melina, who wrote Alibrandi, and I have had many conversations, I guess, because of the themes in Alibrandi, is that because Italians are quite celebrated now and we're quite cool, it seems everyone forgot the sins of the past. And I think it's good to remember and re-reflect on what it was like for young Italians or young Greeks around that time.
Yep.
Because it definitely wasn't an easy time. And just because we're having a good time now...
Well, I look at the African culture and the Vietnamese culture, if you like, who are the next along the chain or train coming through.
I always say, you got to keep reflecting back on how were we treated, because that reminds you that it's not that things are better, it's just that we've moved on to a new group. And that group, we should respect those new groups and embrace them as much as we're embraced now. So even though the idea of Italians having a funny time is not as prevalent now, the themes in Alibrandi are still really... They really make sense to lots of different migrant cultures, and lots of people...
They're universal.
Yeah.
And
timeless.
Like, you look at that sense of identity, where do I fit? Mental health, pressure.
Exactly.
All that sort of stuff.
So
with the Matt Newton character in that as well. It's so present right now.
Yeah. And so for most people who come up to me now, it's not Italians and Greeks. It's people from all migrant backgrounds who come up and go, oh my gosh, it so spoke to me. You're like, yes, I'm from a Vietnamese family, but this is the reason why that film meant so much to me. So,
and do you think people think you are her?
Yeah. Well, I guess you put, a lot of yourself into those characters. I certainly wasn't brought up in as Italian culture as Josie, because half of my family's, Irish Catholic.
Yep.
There's definitely, you're always putting little bits of yourself in, and there's definitely people who get quite shocked that I'm older, I'm quite loose as a person. You know me, I'm quite loose. I'm a filthy mouth. I'm pretty loose.
Yes, and we were talking about your vagina before. So.
And people are a bit sometimes get quite shocked by that.
Yes, yeah, and I think they still hold you as that, sort of 17. She must be like 24 or 25 by now, and you think, no.
Yeah. I mean, if I had $1 for every time someone came up and talked to me about Tomato Day,
yeah, right, okay,
I'd be rich. Never done one.
Yeah, right, really?
Not interested.
You did one on screen.
One on screen.
Still an experience. There were tomatoes there. I saw them.
People are always coming up to me like, we did one. Like, that was my... I just have to go with it because I don't want to ruin their day. Like, amazing.
Wonderful. Can I get a jar? Thanks. Yeah. Touching on the nun bit for a minute. So what drew you to that? And do you think there's anything that's... Is that itch being scratched in a different way as a human, with other things now in life?
I mean, I don't want to get too dirty, but if I was a nun, many itches would have got scratched.
Oh,
I don't think I would have lasted. I don't know. I liked tradition. I love growing up in the Catholic religion. I love the outfits because, I like fashion.
Yes.
I just like the idea of purity and, it was probably... a safe space for me. I think growing up in that Italian culture, there's a lot of mystical thinking, and I just enjoyed that whole kind of world. And I had a couple of nuns who were just really nice to me and thought I was fantastic, and I'm, so much a sucker for complimentary behaviour. So
exactly. So I'm going to touch on your book right now, Finding My Bella Vita. Did I say that right?
Yeah. I don't
Out
know.
now
I actually
at all
hate
good
it.
bookstores.
I actually didn't like the title, but it works in the end.
Great. Sure. Because there's another couple of quotes in there that I just want to talk about. You say at one point we are all the people we've become because of the people who've come before us, and then you also say we're not defined by what has been before. Now, they're not contradictory statements, obviously work together, but I'm just really interested to talk about how you came to understand those, and because that's, I think it's absolutely a beautiful summation of who we are as humans. And how do you get to there?
Probably age. I mean, I think, a lot of the time we can get really caught up in, well, this was my past, this is why I am who I am. But then we forget sometimes that it doesn't define us. Our past doesn't define us. It can enrich us. So, even people generations before, the choices they made, I truly believe that that's, led me on the path to where I am now because of the way they dealt with their children and their children dealt with their parents and all that stuff. But then I think it opens up this idea that we can use those experiences, negative and positive, to hold us back or to push us forward so that we can actually be free to create our own future. And I'm a huge believer in that and in not getting stuck in the negativity of the past and embracing all of it, the bad and the good. Because you know what it's like. We're older now. Some of the worst stuff that's happened to me or you, do you not think that's made me a better person? Yeah,
and it's that idea of there's no right and wrong, right? And it's not black and white. The world is completely grey. We are, like you say, we're a product of the things that have happened to us, good and bad. But you can't just take one bit and not the other. There's no perfect version of you. There's not something you're meant to be. You are what you are because of what's happened to you. And certain things are very hard to not be defined by.
Exactly.
I was listening to a podcast with Vince Vaughn the other day, and he was talking about the idea of not being defined by your work. Like I'm an actor on these things, and I know I certainly fell sort of victim to that when I was singing for many years, and went through a whole lot of vocal trauma, and then don't really sing anymore. I'm not able to, but I found that very, very difficult. So I just don't know who I am without that thing, and
because that is difficult.
And I guess you have to do the work, if you want to use that phrase, and try and come out the other side of it, and. But again, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now in terms of producing these other things, etc., and all the bits and pieces that keep me entertained. Yeah. If I hadn't been through that, I might just be doing a musical 8 shows a week,
exactly,
which would also be a lot of fun. But
yeah. And I think even whatever happened to my parents in their past or your parents, that leads you on a certain path, and then, all those sort of choices. It's all intertwined. But I think we can, do it like you did. It's just you can't always be. I'm not into like toxic positivity. But,
But
you
which
can
is just offensive, can I say, as bad as negativity. You're just like, this is just bullshit.
Exactly. But if you can, have supportive people around you and you can sort of find your own path in a supportive way and be okay with, everything that's happened, I think you can end up finding a beautiful future.
You've touched on, I guess, authenticity there. So that'll be a little segue for me
nice.
a little.
I did that on purpose.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the throw in there. It's my topic number 2, authenticity versus deception, the survivor days.
Yeah.
What a fucking amazing experience.
Yeah.
Like in the true sense of that word.
Yeah.
I've read so much about how obsessed you were with the show prior to going anywhere near it, and desperately wanting to do it, that, Luke and you were going to plan a little sneaky divorce, marry an American, go over.
Yeah. Actually, just for the Survivor fans, any who are listening, Richard Hatch just texted me before.
Oh, there
That's
you
the
go.
nice thing about being a Survivor player. You get to be friends with all the other Survivor players.
Excellent.
You're like, who's Richard Hatch?
I am, but that's okay.
He won the very first Survivor ever.
Oh, there you go. Excellent. He's a buddy then.
Yeah.
That's a very weird and unique experience to go through. And I know you and I have spoken a little bit about it in the past, about essentially coming out of that with, I guess, what you call like PTSD.
No, but you do. I think a lot. Well, Australian Survivor's 50 days.
Yep.
American Survivor was, I think, 32, 36. Now it's 26.
Okay.
So we really go through it. 50 days is 7 weeks.
Yeah,
That's 7 weeks of sleeping in the dirt, constant stress. Like it's no food, no toothbrush, like nothing. There is nothing out there. So 50 days is a long time, I guess, because you have to retrain yourself back into society.
On the other side of it.
Yeah, but,
Oh, well, I had a great time, thanks.
But when would you ever get to do that? The good thing about Survivor is that's one of the rare places where authenticity is deception.
Yeah.
So how fun.
So you're an actor, right? You're going in there. Everybody knows you're an actor. In terms of, and I guess this comes back to, more widely process and approach to character and role. And in this, yes, you're there. It's reality television. I understand that. But you're playing a game, which is like a big fat improv in some ways, I guess. How did you approach that? What was your key strategy? I'm guessing authenticity.
I went in to win. That was my only strategy.
Yeah.
I forgot about being an actor. Forgot about having a public profile.
Yep.
I thought if I'm going to play, I'm not going to take someone's spot if I'm not going to play to win.
Yep.
Because I was really nerdy about the game of Survivor.
Yeah.
Not just like some people do come on and, good for them though, for the experience or.
But you're like, no, I'm here.
I went to win.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was my strategy.
And when you're in the middle of it, right, you're in the middle of this performance, as it goes, I guess you're just constantly assessing, listening, doing and coming up with a path to that goal.
Yeah, I studied some of my favourite Survivor players and I worked out my path. You work it out on the fly. So, the very first day I went, just don't play hard first day, and then first day everyone wanted me out. So I'm like, great. So now that's gone out the window.
Yep.
So I've never played harder than my first day. But I just...
Because you said, I remember, I'll be out the first day or the last.
Yeah. And I think if I played again, same deal.
Have you taken anything from that and brought that into your acting approach at all?
The best thing is nothing's difficult. I just did a job recently where I had to do really scary stuff. And in the past I would have probably lent into the fear of it more.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, God, I'll just do it. I can do it.
It's
really good.
It doesn't hold that fear for you because you go, I've been through worse.
Yeah, go for a 10K run. I can do it. Like, nothing's harder.
Yeah.
Not even giving birth. Oh, it's pretty hard. But, obviously things are harder in life, like going through chemo and all that kind of stuff. That's great.
It resets, recalibrates for you
recalibrates.
what is fearful and what is unknown and what's something to worry about.
Exactly. And, because I'm small, I look young, I've been quite infantilized and I played a teenager.
Yeah.
So I've been quite infantilized for a lot of my life. And I think that's probably why I got so far on Survivor as well, because people underestimated me.
Yeah.
And I think it shifted that. People now, every job I go on to, they're like, well, don't fuck with her. Don't fuck with her.
Coming back to, I guess, performance process, you as an actor, but also more broadly, what do you think makes a really good performance?
I like a messy performance. I don't like seeing any technique on screen or on the stage. Love unpredictability and truth and naturalism. I love all of that stuff. For me, that's what makes a good performance, and that's what I strive for. That's lucky because I don't have much technique anyway. No, okay. But
She studied, everybody.
I strive for that. When it's a really flashy, technically perfect performance, I don't find it
Leaves you a bit
interesting.
cold.
Yeah, it's not for me.
So let's apply that outside of acting. You've probably done corporate stuff as well over the years.
Yeah.
We get asked a lot to do this kind of thing and, everyone's want insight. I mean, what would you say to those people who are practitioners, like, of a different kind?
No matter what job you do, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a corporate talk, I think the looser and the more accessible it is.
Like free-flowing
just
energy.
Free-flowing.
Yeah.
I think people just want to, well, for me, what works for me, even if I do go listen to a TED talk or whatever it is, I just want that person, I want to feel like I could be that person's friend.
Yep.
And I don't want them to sort of have too much of a velvet rope around them.
Yep.
That's what I like. And I think just if you can loosen it up and realise that we're all human beings, we don't expect perfection from people.
Relatability.
Yeah, just relatability. My biggest thing is knowing my lines really, really, really well. Like really well. I say them all the time. And if there's an awkward line, I don't pass over and go work it out on the day. I work through it until the rhythm. I'm very into rhythm. I think I watch a lot of stand-up.
Yep.
And
okay.
I find rhythm to be my safe space.
Okay.
So rhythm is my safe space, and once I've worked out rhythms, different kinds of rhythms that might work, then I go into all of the other stuff, all the backstory and objectives. But you got to be able to I think the best lesson I learned at Atlantic is that all of this stuff is a rehearsal process.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're thinking about any of it when you walk on set or walk on stage, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I don't think about anything other than I've done the work, I've like set the foundation, I walk in, I go, okay, now it's time to decorate the house.
You touched on something before, which is that concept that because someone knows your face, they think you've got money, right? And you're rich, right?
Yeah.
And I was reminded of Rowena Wallace from Sons and Daughters, and who was very vocal and good on her, like so difficult.
Below me in an apartment in the
Okay.
King's Cross.
Yeah, wow.
We both lived in these really tiny little apartments.
Yeah, and she was very vocal about having nothing, and basically living on the dole, and on retirement, and having absolutely nothing, nowhere to live, almost homeless, and I think people assume because you are recognisable that's delivered you money, and how have you gone with that? Because obviously Alibrandi, big exposure, I can't imagine. I'm not asking for a number, but you were paid, like above the line, huge amounts of money.
We were not paid well.
So you go, okay, that's there, but then you get this.
It wouldn't be a yearly wage for someone.
It's difficult to navigate. Like, I mean, you and I have talked about periods of unemployment within our chosen field, and how hard that is, and having other jobs. How have you gone with that and managed that across the years, the up and down?
Gosh, sometimes, I'm somewhat grateful for it, I guess, now, if I look back. I'm just trying to be glass half full. There's nothing more humbling than being recognisable and being really impoverished.
I know.
It's very humbling. It's hard and it's embarrassing. I think that's what not many people talk about.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
When you're well known, sometimes you get invited to these events. People are like, you should come, it'd be great for you. And you're like, I have nothing to wear and I can't afford to buy anything, and the cab will cost me a lot and I can't do it. And that stuff is embarrassing. And I think I hid it quite a lot because I was embarrassed about it because it made me feel like I was a failure. Then you get a nice big job, but that job only goes for 8 weeks and you can't live off for 8 weeks of income.
You've got debt to pay off.
Yeah. I spent my whole life at uni, working in bars and working in restaurants and working in fashion, and I would have loved to have gone and just done a regular job in between acting jobs, but I felt like the attention that would come with that would make me more embarrassed, and then it was just tricky. So to say how did I deal with it, I don't know.
Not sure you did.
I dealt with it by trying really hard not to become embittered.
Yeah.
But
which is hard.
It's really hard. I just really pushed. And it sounds really wanky, but yoga helped me.
Yeah.
Just that, yoga and the whole mindset of yoga and just trying to just calm myself and just look for the good and not expect too much helped me get through. Everyone's got their thing. But, there were days when I was really shitty about it.
We have this idea as human beings that, that those people we see on the screens are untouchable or not human maybe in some way. I don't know what it is, but it's just odd and it is weird and it is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing and it shouldn't be embarrassing.
No.
I think there's a lot of ways to treat actors like they're failures. We don't tend to celebrate all successes. You know what it's like. People go, why didn't you go to Hollywood? Failure.
Yeah.
Why didn't you have lots of money? Failure. Why are you not working at the moment? Failure. Like there's so many ways to pointedly tell people in the arts that they're not successes rather than go, it's amazing that you did these cool things. You're on this show called Secret Life. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've worked out how to segue your career. Amazing. I think there's a lot of just sort of really sort of subtle ways to make us feel.
If you aren't the 1% who managed to make a full-time living off this and succeed internationally, then we have failed, inverted commas, which is really, really hard.
Yeah, because not all of us do want to go to Hollywood. Some of us just want to hang out with our family and friends and have a nice little easy career in Australia.
Yes.
So to, pay for that, you got to win Survivor.
You got to win Survivor.
Tip.
Can't do that on your own.
Spencer, if you need to, you can go out and play and I'll tell you how to win.
Before I jump off Survivor, can you just tell me, because you're the only person I know who's had this experience, what it's like to win $500,000.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's really strange. We're in the Australian entertainment industry. I think people are like, oh my God. People are like really salty at me. They're like, oh my God, she's rich already. It's like, guys, I've got less money than probably all of the cast out here right now. So it was when I went out there, you know, every time someone gets voted out, you go, well, that's 1 in 24 chance of winning $500,000. That's one in, and then by the time you get to 1 in 3, you're like, I'm a 1 in 3 chance of winning $500,000.
That's better than the lottery ticket.
I know. And then you wake up on the morning and there's 2 of you and you're like, now I have to debate my way to winning $500,000. And there's no, you know, there's no beta blockers or anything out there. So it's nothing to help you with the stress. Winning $500,000 was an out of body experience.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like you're in a dream and someone's going to wake you up and it's a big joke. So, you know, when Buffy wakes up and you realise she's in a psychiatric institution and the whole Buffy world is not real, that's what it feels like. You're really scared that you're Buffy.
And if I can go back earlier,
yeah,
it's like Dallas when Bobby was killed.
It's like
and
Dallas.
And then 2 years went on and they pretend, now he's woken up and he's back. It was all a dream.
Yes, so I just kept thinking it wasn't real.
So let's talk about some good shit for a little bit, right? Winning an AFI.
Yes.
Forgot, did you say?
No, I just don't know where it is.
How
it was
fantastic.
one of those crappy glass ones. I want one of the nice new ones.
Well, I'm sure if they're listening, they'll give you a re-edition.
Like an honorary one.
Yeah, it's 25 years, isn't it, this year?
Something, because I had a glass one. It was plastic, actually. It was Perspex.
Oh.
It fell apart in like a month.
I know the chair. I'm going to have a chat with him. Jack, if you're listening, get
I
it
like
done.
a redo, thank you.
A redo?
Thank you.
Excellent. We'll have a special ceremony this year where we represent all the crappy Perspex ones. They can put on a lunch. It'll be amazing. But you were, how old were you at Alibrandi?
Probably 25 when
25?
I won it, yeah.
Yeah, great. And did that feel like, I mean, obviously not the high of the $500,000,
yeah.
but, you know, percentage-wise, you know, at that time.
Yeah, it felt great. But, you know, unfortunately, I feel like I knew at the time, I was still early in my career. So when you get, and I'm not someone that has the confidence of a Blanchett.
Yes.
I mean, we love her, but, you know, I'm not that. I'm someone who was still finding my way. And so it was a little bit, I had to take a step back a bit. And I went and actually retrained. I went to America, I went to drama school.
Is that Atlantic Theatre Company?
Yeah,
when you were there?
because I knew that I was going for these huge roles and I wasn't quite ready.
Yep.
I just went, I don't think I'm quite ready. It was actually Rose Byrne that had gone to Atlantic before me.
Yep.
And she was sort of going through a similar thing and she's loved it. And so I went after her and that really helped me find my confidence and then I was good.
Back to the good shit. Luke.
Yeah.
Lotel, Luke Hannigan.
Yeah.
Pia Miranda. Like rock star, film actress, superstar.
Yeah.
How did you meet? And was there like, was that like did you have a Brangelina style tag or was that pre those?
No, because we were poor, so we didn't ever feel that cool. You know, we were poor for most of our early marriage, so we never felt that exciting and cool.
That's sad, because you are.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know, we met on his film clip. He was dating someone. I was dating a few people. No one serious. And we met up again. He was single. I was single. And then that was it. 25. No, I don't. What year is it? I actually don't know.
It's 2024 right now.
It might be 25.
See, to avoid this, I have the day we met and the day we got married engraved, the dates onto 2 rings on my fingers. When I forget, I go, oh, that's right. But now as my eyesight's going, I've got to like hold my hands so far away, it's ridiculous. I know
we met on the 25th of October in 2000.
Right.
Or was that our first date? Might have been our first date. I've got a rip out in my diary of the day we met and the day we went on our first date or something. It was like, you know, written in my diary, like Lotel film clip. And then I wrote $2,000 with like exclamation marks. I was so excited to get paid.
Yeah. Oh, nice. How funny. Yeah. How funny. And what was it like? I'm sure it's wonderful. Like Lily and James coming in the world, they've obviously changed you.
14 and 11. I love teenage girls. I love teenage girls.
It's my fear of teaching a class of 13-year-old girls. I don't know how to cope. I don't know how to communicate. Yeah. This is not where I want to be.
Yeah. Love them. Just they're the best. They're so funny. You just got to not be too grown-uppy.
They think you're still one, you see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, they don't. You just got to have fun with them.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to be – they just want to break. They're at school all day.
Yeah.
They just are so fun. So I love teenage girls. And then I love 11-year-old boys, but I would not have a birthday party for my son at my house. I can tell you that much.
Oh, right, okay. Bit violent.
No, they just run a lot.
Okay,
Run
right, a lot of running.
A lot of running. I just don't want to break the furniture.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. If I can touch on well-being, and a few of these things we've talked about before as well, but just elaborate on them a little bit. This industry is shit on how it deals with people, right? Periods of no work, jobs, we feel like we don't belong. Do you have any kind of tips or tricks that have helped you maintain your self-worth in this ongoing process at all?
I think it's been trial and error. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I have no silver bullet to go do this. I find it really hard. I mean, I still have moments of, when I feel really shit and depressed and go, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Now I'm sit here talking to you. what a waste of space.
I'm only here because I'm unemployed.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Look at us. We've got to get our checks together. Perfect.
For me, it's friendships. Let's say I called you and I said to you, I'm really depressed. I haven't been working for ages.
I'll be there in 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Yep.
And I love that about our industry is the people. I think the community is what keeps me going.
Yep.
You can find, obviously you're not going to be best friends with everyone.
No.
But you find those good people and you just have those people around you because we all know what it's like to miss out on a job or get a bad review or...
If I could sum that up, it's surrounding yourself with good people and shared experience.
Shared experience and good people.
Connection to community and creating the community that supports you, bringing that around you.
And checking in with your friends.
Yep.
So that people don't feel like you're fine if you don't call them because when you feel bad, you don't call people.
Yeah,
so
you disconnect.
It's about checking in. So I think that, and I think my biggest advice for young actors now is I think it's really with Instagram and all of this stuff, I think the richer that your life is, the more interesting you seem as an actor. So I think back in our day, it was very much like you do acting and nothing else. So you're a sellout. You must be starving and reading Stanislavski
true to the craft
all day long. Whereas now I think the more interesting you are, the more strings to your bow that you have, the more it can enhance your acting career. So whether...
So diversifying outside of, obviously the purity of just acting. Yeah. And we talked about reality as well before, doing those sorts of things.
Well, for me, freedom has come when I really made my career path wide.
Yep.
That's what's been freedom for me. When I was just focused on I can only be an actor, God forbid I didn't add.
Not allowed. Sell out.
Me just now going, I'll take everything, I'll do everything, I'll try everything, has absolutely enhanced my acting life. And then when you do get a job, it's not as big a deal, so it's not stressful. Yeah,
it's not your identity.
Exactly.
You're not tied up with that because you obviously have diversified quite a lot. You've mentioned a few times. You've got your book out. You've gone on to reality, if I could use that word, personality. So you're going into those sorts of roles.
Yep.
You do a lot on social media as well.
Yep.
I saw you on the cooking show with Justine the other day. I was like, obviously not cooking tomatoes from Tomato Day that you didn't go to.
I just sort of pick things I love. Cooking's one.
Yeah.
And I do lots of cooking. I've just done 2 cooking shows recently. So I love doing cooking shows. I'm like, as long as it feels good for you and it's the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to host, like a dating show. I don't really watch them, but I could definitely host Deal or No Deal Island or something. Have you watched that? So good.
No, I haven't. Okay, so I'm going to jump to what I'm, it's a working title, The Pims Fast 5. Season 1, we're not sponsored by Pims, but I hope by season 2 we will be.
I do like Pims.
I do like the Pims.
I do like Pims, but I like Pims and soda.
Oh.
I don't like things sweet.
Yeah, I like it with dry rather than...
sugar-free dry. Good.
Yes.
Because I like things that aren't too... because now that I'm older, I don't process alcohol as well as I used to.
Yes.
So I like things that aren't too alcoholic.
Okay.
You can have a bit of a drink.
Lighter,
it's a bit lighter.
Great. Okay, so this is philosophies, influence, milestones, mistakes, and struggles, right?
Now, you sent me this. I didn't want to look at it properly.
Didn't want to look at it properly?
Well, I just
it's
wanted
off the cuff?
I just want it to be real rather than pre-prepared.
Authentic,
yes.
rather than deceptive.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, philosophies. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I don't have a mantra that I live by.
Can I give you one? Pims, summer, done.
Pims, summer, done. But I do try to better myself every day. Just striving to be a good person. My definition of a good person.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, which, can change if someone really pisses me off.
Yeah, because
I'm Italian.
you can fuck right off.
I'm a really good person, but I'm going to enact revenge on you.
Yeah, I have a knife. So
I think that's
fine.
it. Like that, that's probably the thing that drives me is just trying to be the best person I can be.
Yep. Okay. Who taught you the most important lesson and what was it?
I think my kids have taught me the most important lesson is that what's really nice is to remember that I'm not the world's first priority.
Yeah.
I like not being, I think I spent a lot of my life thinking about myself a lot and what me. And I think there's freedom in not being your own first priority, which doesn't have to come in the form of kids.
Mm-hmm.
It can come in the form of anything that involves serving.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to serve is a really wonderful state to be in.
Okay. This may be the same thing here, but if you had to pick one milestone that's had the most profound effect on you, what would you say it was and why?
Well, I think the most profound milestone is obviously having children because there's so much that comes along with it.
Yeah.
But I think also when I turned 50, I felt like it was the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really funny thing to go, I've always been looking forward and now I can look back and go, well, I look at it as halfway, he's hoping. Half of it's done. Who do I want to be in the second chapter? So I think for me right now, this halfway point has been my biggest milestone.
Okay.
So who was I? That's okay. Like it wasn't all great.
Yeah, it's
who do I want to be?
a view shift.
Yeah, I've shifted my view. I'm way more grateful. I'm way more conscious of who do I want to be as a human in this second half. Where I think the first half was all about how do I survive, how do I have my career, how do I raise these kids? All of that busy stuff is slipping away. And one of the nice things Survivor did do was help me financially.
Yep.
So a lot of those stresses are gone. It's like, who can I be now that I feel a bit freer?
Okay. What would you say was the biggest mistake you've made, the biggest regret?
Oh, God, I've got so many regrets, Spencer.
Just one will do, Pia.
Oh, my God. The things probably like a couple of people I've dated, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. I think just dating bad men.
Poor choices.
Yeah. I haven't dated many bad men, really only two. But that was a bummer. No, but I think they're my biggest regrets, because they don't really affect my day-to-day life. I think the biggest regret for me was just probably just not enjoying my youth enough. Yeah. Being so stressed about money and career and, all the things I didn't have.
Not being present, I guess.
Yeah.
Isn't that, I think it's Oscar Wilde gets accredited with it saying that youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of go, because you don't have the worldly perspective you have at 50.
Exactly.
And beyond for our elder listeners. You realise, exactly that statement. You go, if only I'd had this state of mind then. You go,
I wish I had the brain now that I had in my 20s. The brain now in my 20s. So I just wish I'd enjoyed it more, and I really wish I hadn't been so concerned with what people thought of me or trying to live up to unattainable expectations.
Okay. Last one on the PIMS Fast Five, brought to you by PIMS. What's the biggest thing that you feel you've had to overcome to be the person who's sitting here today?
I think the biggest thing I've had to overcome is, and I don't think it's unusual, and it's sort of really hard to admit, but I think resentment.
Mm-hmm.
I think, things can happen to you, and then you can resent a person or resent that situation or anger and all that stuff.
Carry that with you. And
I think that's something, whether it is doing Alibrandi and not getting paid very well, or whether it is the person in the shop is like, what happened to you? You used to be an actor. It's a hard game, isn't it? That Nicole Kidman's got a good career. That sort of stuff. It hurts, and you're like, ooh, all that stuff. I think all of that resentment and anger, I've worked really, really hard to turn into a positive and just not get lost in it.
What is, and again, looking forward, what's left for you to do? What are your new dreams?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to the next, hopefully, like God willing, 20, 30, 40 years, because my new dreams are to enjoy my life a lot more. So to go on holidays, to have a good time with my kids, to spend time with my family, just to enjoy all the jobs that come up and to keep working as much as I possibly can. So I always have I've got a really great manager. Her and I, we sort of talk about what's next, and that keeps me motivated and excited. Yep. So what's the next thing we want to do? And then I'll say to her, well, maybe I want to do this. And she's like, what about this? And so that keeps me motivated. So I think just staying motivated, having fun and just, you know, hopefully having the ability to just have a good time. I really like having a good time. You know that about me.
I do. So if I was to, you were just talking before about that perspective shift, right?
Yeah.
And looking forward and looking back. And we all, you know, leave a legacy behind us for good or for bad, whatever it might be. Do you have an idea of how you want to be remembered when you've gone by this? It's a big question, like by this world. You know, that can take any form, whether it's the people you've touched or whether it's the industry or you know, the advocacy groups you work for. You know, like what you want to leave behind.
What's funny is that, like, I spent so much of my life worrying about my career. I really don't care what people think about my work or my career.
Yeah.
I just want my kids to think I was a great parent. I want my friends to think I was a great friend. And I want people who've had interactions with me to have had a nice time. So that's really it.
Okay, so I'm carving your tombstone.
Yeah.
What 3 words am I putting on there?
Oh, it was fun.
It was fun. Oh, cool. Excellent. I will leave it there and just want to say what a pleasure it's been sitting down and talking to you. So, Pia Miranda, thank you very much.
Yay, thank you.
That's it for this episode of McLaren Versus. I'm Spencer McLaren, and thank you for spending some time with us. If you enjoyed this chat, then please don't forget to follow and leave us a review.